It is day 395 off the grid, but of course it is the day of Lughnasa. Yes, that's right, that great day, Lughnasa, high summer. And here we are in the old Gorge cemetery again, or otherwise known as Tara's cemetery. So we're in Tara's cemetery here, and we've been here today doing some overdubs on a track called Created in Equal Form, which is actually an old Bloodwitch song, my very first band. It was also done in my second band, Damon, for a while as well. But anyway, of course we're here to film the equipment we use as usual. So we'll first start with Baffy. She's played clarinet today. So she brought along her clarinet, obviously. Did some overdubs of clarinets. And used the Oi mic, which is one of the first mics I bought when I was getting into recording. It's actually a very cheap mic, but it sounded really good on the clarinet. So I was quite happy about that. Well, I chose this mic because I thought it might be alright, and then we tested it and it sounded good, so it was a good choice. Sounds better than a Shure SM57 on her instrument. Now, let's get into what I use for my mic today, because today I track vocals, and this is my microphone. Otherwise known as Das Reichsphone. It's actually an old handset made by, there we go, TMC, that'd be worthwhile looking up. And it's got this PTT switch here, which you can hear clicking when I press it in the speaker. It's the old Bakelite handset, but unlike a domestic handset, it doesn't have the horn piece on the mic cover here. And of course that switch is not domestic either. It's got a nice fabric covered lead, very flexible. And of course the main thing was, it's got the authentic telephone sound, you know what I'm saying? It sounds like that authentic old lo-fi tone, because it is. It's not being faked by EQ or some fancy plugin. It's getting it right at the source. So yeah, that's what it sounds like basically. And this is a little circuit here that I built yesterday in the hot blazing heat of yesterday. Apparently it was 32 degrees Celsius yesterday in Shannon, well in the Manawatu. So it's pretty simple really. I'll go over it real fast. The battery provides voltage to the microphone because it's a carbon mic, which means it has a resistance which changes with sound. That voltage is sent through that little resistor there. And the audio is developed at this point here. It passes through this capacitor, so that only AC passes through, which is the audio. Then through this attenuator, so it doesn't overdrive the input of the sound card, and then of course to the sound card, which is our usual Digitech job here, which does a good job for the outdoor recordings we do. So that's pretty much it. These connectors here used to connect to the big booty plug I spoke about in my previous off the grid text blog, but I just took the plug off and just put it on this bit of board. Oh, this is a bit of 100-year-old demo wood from an old print shop in Foxton, by the way. This was a Darlington power transistor. It's actually just being used as a quick and dirty lug. See, I didn't want to upset the formations on the end of this cable, so I just used these screws to go into lugs, and I just used this dead one as a lug, so it's not really doing anything in the circuit apart from passing current directly through from that tab to that wire. But that's enough of this. This is film the equipment. This is not Electronics 101. Right. So I used the A to C, of course. Had the asymmetrical speaker set up again, the JBL there, and the Sharp, which sounded good. I was almost thinking about not bothering because we didn't have any bass guitars or anything that really needed a lot of bottom end today, but I thought, you know, why not? And also, one more thing to say pretty much, well the LV pin of course, there we go, but these batteries, now if you watched the last video I did of Beltane setup from the summer solstice, you might have heard me speaking about retiring these, because they did start to stuff out during our last recording, but I'm thinking that the reason for that was because we were expecting quite a lot from them at that last recording because of the the other people present in the shelter where we recorded, and we needed to turn this up quite loud, and it was quite a sort of a beaty song. It had quite a bit of kick drum there going on, so it's probably a bit much for these dry cells to continuously supply. Well, I figured I'd get away with them again today. I will still be replacing them. I'm not saying I was wrong about that. I will still be replacing them, but since this was quieter and we were just doing overdubs, I felt I could get away with it today, and yeah, totally didn't have any problems whatsoever. But you know, definitely probably again, that's what Zanoy says, definitely probably. It is highly likely that I will replace them for the next recording, if the next recording turns out to be in the field battery operated recording. So that's pretty much it for the recording gear. What else is there? Oh, Baffy bought a new wand, and we did a ritual. We did an opening ritual. She used this to point out the cardinal points, which is a pretty cool wand. It's made by Wanda's Wands, and yeah, it's got crystals and all that, you know, as wands often do. It's pretty neat. And we had a compass to make sure we did get those cardinal points right. But last but definitely not least, no, this is not Stag Hunter blended Scotch whiskey. This is in fact some homemade mead. Some homemade mead we actually took to the pagan gathering, but surprisingly we didn't get through it because of the mellow Saturday night. So we ended up taking it home. And by the time the second day of the pagan gathering arrived, it was actually well into secondary fermentation, so drinking it there kind of would have been a rather fizzy experience. But by today, the Lughnasa, that's pretty much finished. It could probably clarify a bit more, but we've drunk, well, this was nearly a full litre of mead today, and we've drunk all this, and it's been yummy. It's quite a dry mead. It's obviously, I didn't use too much honey, so the alcohol content seems to be quite high, and there's not much honey left in there, but it's a nice drop, and it's mead, and it's homemade, so that's pretty cool for the Lughnasa of 2016, I would dare say. Oh, sounds like there's a train. Just see it there through those trees. We are not very far here from the road or from the railway line. The railway line's even closer. It's a bit of a hairy mission across the railway line getting up into this sim, but you know, I love this sim. It's like a mini version of the Nelson Cemetery, to be honest. Well, it is. I mean, if you look at it, if you're familiar with the Nelson sim, and I sweep this camera around, I could easily film certain parts of this and tell you it was in the Nelson sim, and you'd believe it, because it is so similar, just smaller. And a little bit more further out of the way, which is nice. But it's got that nice sort of on a hillside vibe, and the nice old gravestones and stuff. So it's really neat. We love to come here. In fact, we've recorded here quite a few times now. The first time we did was on the autumn equinox of 2009. Just right up in a spot, just up there on a little grassy knoll. In fact, I'm not sure if you can quite see it on the camera there, but it was up in there, basically. And then we did an overdub recording here on the Lughnasa. It was another Lughnasa. What would it be? That would be 2013, because it was after the summer solstice of 2012, and that was up in this section, up over here, up beyond these trees, up over there. And then, of course, for the Beltane of 2014, we came up there. We came up there and recorded right up by that grave up the top there. It's this really cool grave, and that marked the end of, well, the first decade of Beltane's seasonal recording. So that Beltane was the end of basically year 10, because the summer solstice marked the start of year 11. So yeah, it was Beltane 2014. Yeah, the final recording of the first 10 years of Beltane's seasonal stuff. And here we are again today, over here. And this is the first time we've done the recording in the lower part of the cemetery, which was interesting, because every other time, of course, we've been in the upper part, and the upper part does have more appeal in a way, you know, because you're up, you got better views, you're kind of further away from anyone that might penetrate the cemetery and come in while you're here. But, you know, we wanted a really shady place today because it's blooming hot. I mean, it's Lughnasa and it's been a really hot summer, and this past few days have been heinous. And we thought, we were looking up from the top down to the spot, and we could see all the shade here, which is slowly disappearing, of course, as the sun starts to set, but it might pelt with sun, but we're finished now, so it doesn't matter. And we thought, yeah, we'll do it down there. We haven't done a low recording in the cemetery yet, so there we have it. That's it, really. That's Lughnasa 2016, well, the southern Lughnasa, and we had a good one, and we had some mead, and I hope you had a good one, and I hope you had some mead, and maybe if you're lucky you even had a fire as well. Well, we're not going to have a fire here tonight. I'm certainly not going to have a fire at home because it's too bloody hot, but we've had the mead, and I guess the fire in a way is the expression of the music and the electricity and the gear and stuff for us, so you know, that's cool. That's cool. Baffy's off somewhere wandering around finding things while I'm ranting away, but I think I've come to an end with this rant, so that'll do. So this was day 395 off the grid too, and of course the setup's off the grid, so that's that. So goodbye from Taro Cemetery. Hey.